Do you find it hard to remember how to form all the different scales you use and apply them in different keys? Or maybe you find it difficult to memorize new scales you're trying to learn. Well, when I try to learn a new scale to add to my toolkit, I like to build it from a familiar foundation. In this video, I want to go over the one thing that I use as my main reference point to help me put things in perspective and helps me learn and recall any new scale fairly quickly. Let's talk about how incredibly convenient the major scale is. Yeah, you heard me right. The good old major scale is the ticket. Nothing works better in my experience, mainly because it's one of the first things you learn to play, and it's really easy to pick it out by ear. And since it's so accessible, it makes it perfect to be our initial frame of reference to use when we're learning a new scale. But how does the major scale help us learn new scales easily? Instead of memorizing one new scale in all 12 keys, what I do is figure out its intervallic structure, or the group of intervals that define the scale. Once I have that, I compare the structure of the new scale to the structure of the major scale, and then focus on the differences between the two, specifically looking for any intervals that are minor, diminished, or augmented, which should stand out because the major scale is made up of only major and perfect intervals. Essentially, I'm trying to figure out what intervals I would need to modify from the major scale to make the new one. Once I'm armed with that knowledge, I can now replicate the scale again in any key with two easy steps. First, I create the major scale in whatever key I want. Then second, I apply the modifications that I figured out beforehand, which then leaves me with the new scale. Let's put this process into action and see an example of how it works. All right, let's put up the intervallic structure of the major scale as our reference point to start out with, and choose a new scale to compare it to. This new scale could be anything, but for this example, let's say I wanted to learn how to create a Dorian minor scale. Let's place the intervallic structure of the Dorian minor right next to the major scale. First thing I would do is identify any differences there are between these two structures. It looks like the Dorian minor has a lot of common intervals with the major scale, but there are two that are different: the minor third and minor seventh. Now that we are equipped with what to modify, we can apply it to any instrument and in any key, so let's start with the piano. We'll start off by laying down the major scale in the key of C. Next, we'll go to the major third and seventh and drop them a half step to make them minor, and that's it. You now have a C Dorian minor scale. Okay, let's do another one. How about we build the same Dorian minor scale, but change the key to, say, A flat? We'll use the same two-step process. First, let's lay down the major scale in A flat. Next, we'll drop the third and seventh a half step to make them minor, and there you have it, the A flat Dorian minor scale. Now let's take a look at how this process would lay out on a guitar. Let's figure out how the Dorian minor scale would fit on the guitar in the key of G. Again, we'll use our two-step process. First, we'll plot out our major scale with the root starting on the 6th string. Then, taking our previous knowledge of what makes the Dorian minor different from the major scale, we apply the modifications by lowering the 3rd and the 7th, and then we're left with the G Dorian minor scale. Let's do another one, but this time in a new key and position. How about we go with the key of E flat with the root starting on the 5th string? First step, we lay out the major scale. Second step, you apply the same modifications by moving the 3rd and 7th down a fret, and that's it. You get the E flat Dorian minor scale. I find this method very useful when learning new scales, remembering all the different scales that I already use, and replicating any and all scales into any key that I might need. It's really just a strategy to consolidate all the scales in a way where you take advantage of the structure as a whole and focus on memorizing that rather than memorizing each individual note of the scale in all 12 keys. Now, in time, you should and will eventually memorize all your scales individually because the end goal is to recall them as quickly as possible when you are playing, improvising, or writing. So memorization is essential. But on the way there, this two-step process will help you to consistently get what you need. Let me know in the comments what little tricks or perspectives you find useful when trying to learn new musical concepts. If you want to keep improving your understanding of music, do me a favor and hit that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell notification so you are alerted of the next video tutorial I'll be putting up. In the meantime, take care and be good.